Welcome back to the Yo Hockey Show. Now today, I am going to be telling you what these teams that are in the playoff race, playoff hunt, playoff contention, and what they need from the Eastern Conference and what they need to succeed. And I'm going to tell you all that right now. So let's start off with the current leader of the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know why I wanted to call them the Raleigh. Anyways, so the Hurricanes right now, they're a stacked team. I said it before the season started that this is the type of team that I think can succeed in the playoffs, can go far. This is a playoff Stanley Cup level team. But what I'm looking at right now is I think they need that one more menace. And I don't mean that one more, like, that extra, like, bottom six guy, right? They need that one more superstar guy. And you're going to hear this name on this list a lot. But Timo Meier, his contract is ending in San Jose. San Jose's trying to be a bad team right now. They need to tank right now if they want to tank, which is funny. And they need to offload some of that talent like EK65 and Timo Meier. And Meier, he's in the last year of his contract, which is only $6 million. And the Hurricanes, I think, would be huge for that. Timo Meier, if you didn't know this, he got the fastest speed recorded last season. So he's fast, he's big, he's strong. I mean, Timo Meier, if he wasn't on the Sharks, he would be getting 45 goals a year. He could be David Pastrnak, okay? And he would be huge. But I also do think they need that bottom six guy. I feel like every Stanley Cup team kind of has that one bottom six guy that stands up and is like, he doesn't really get that many points, but he does show up a lot. And he's like, whoa, where's this guy come from? And I think the Hurricanes are the perfect team to go on a risk and pick up a guy like Jesse Puljujärvi. I think he would be great, a perfect match for this team. And I think that it would be great for I think it would be a perfect combination. So, Hurricanes, I think they need that one more guy put on the top line with Aho. Could you imagine Aho, Svechnikov, and Timo Meier? That would be a fantastic line, and I would really just push them over the edge. With Max Pacioretty coming into the lineup soon enough, too, this team will be all just formed as a great team, and I think that would really put them over the edge. Next, we've also got the New Jersey Devils, where I think they need a Timo Meier as well. Meier, he has playoff experience, and they need that veteran forward. And Meier wouldn't be that veteran forward, but I do think they need that. They need that one guy that has the playoff experience, who is young. Bring him in, and then you've got a big guy, Timo Meier, with like Jack Hughes. We all know the lineup there, right? Heischer, whatever. I always confuse how to say his name. Hughes, and then Meier out there. I think that would be huge. But I think they need that one veteran forward, the guy with playoff experience. Because the thing about this team is that they really don't have that. This whole young team, they don't have that in the lineup. So I'm thinking, what if they bring in a guy like JVR, James Van Riemsdyk, bring him in, maybe even a crazy move, have the Blackhawks hold some contract space with Jonathan Toews. Bring him into this lineup. You don't think he'd put his heart and soul into winning this final Stanley Cup with the Hurricanes? Or a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. What if he just needs a change of scenery? I personally, if I was the Blues, wouldn't want to keep him around right now the way he's playing. And I know that might be kind of crazy. Well, then it's like, why would you trade for him? But just Ryan O'Reilly, he is that old playoff experience guy. Even if you bring him in and put him on the second or third line, I mean, he's better. He's still going to be better than any other third-line defenseman that you can come up with. So bring him in, and he brings that playoff experience, that grindy, that toughness, that strong guy attitude, and a new word, and bring him in. I think that'd be a good match. Now we've got the Rangers. The Rangers, I'm not sure. I don't really know what they. First of all, they don't really have any cap space to move around with. But I just don't. This team, they have it all. They have offense, they have defense, they have goaltending. Really, the only thing they need is to just go out and win the Stanley Cup. Because a team like the Hurricanes, I could see they needing that one more thing. But, like, the Rangers are stacked. I mean, just every line. Capo, which I know is weird to start off with. But, I mean, he's the type of player that teams need to light up in the playoffs. He's like that perfect player, like a Kivi Ranta in Dallas a couple years ago. Like, he's the perfect kind of guy that in the playoffs, maybe he'll shine. Maybe when he's finally push comes to shove, he will show up there. I mean, you've already got Zibanejad and Panarin, Kreider if he shows up. I mean, offensively, amazing. Defensively, you got Fox, Keandre Miller. You've got Trouba. Like, this whole team is stacked. And then Shesterkin, obviously. So, really, I don't know what the Rangers need other than to just go out there and win. Maybe they could use another defenseman just to push them, like, really over the edge, really tough defensively, trying to score on. Because even if you have to play against their tough defensemen, and once you get through that, you have to go against Shesterkin. Maybe they need that one, because offensively, I think they're fine. I don't think they need anything else offensively. Defensively, maybe bring in Chychrun, and that's a strong defensive guy who can score points. He had the most goals in the bubble year for the NHL. So Chychrun can score goals too. So bring him in maybe, and it'd be an interesting move. So, but I'm not sure. I just think Rangers need to win. For the Bruins, I think they need to just stay put. I don't think they need to bring in that one guy. Like last year with the Panthers, they bring in Claude Giroux. I don't think the Bruins need to mess that up. I think they have their system. They have their team together. I don't think they need to go out there and bring in a guy like Vladimir Tarasenko. I don't think they need to bring in anyone. I think it would throw off their line. Say they bring in Tarasenko. Unless they put him on the third line, and because they're not going to put on the fourth, but do not screw up those top two lines. This is the team. Don't screw it up. Defensively, don't need to mess with it. Unless maybe you could bring in someone like nuts. Let's say at the trade deadline, there's a huge thing going on where like Jacob Slavin, for some reason, who knows, wants to get out of Carolina. Maybe you go out on a risk like a guy like that. But don't bring in like Erik Karlsson, because he's going to take up that number one spot from like a McAvoy or like a Lindholm. You just don't screw it up. Just kind of keep the lines the way they are. Now we've got Toronto. Now they need defense. I know it's so hard to talk about Toronto, and then people always have like an opinion on them. It's like, well, the defense is actually great, but it's not. You need defense, and I mean, Chychrun is an option. You've also got Gavrikov. I saw that his name for some reason is floating around, but I saw that and I was like, that'd be a good fit. He's a strong defensive defenseman. Put him back there. I mean, he's a tough guy to play against, and that's kind of what they need. They need a strong, tough defense back there, and Chychrun would also be a good add. A guy like Erik Karlsson, for one, it would be impossible to make that deal happen, but two, they don't need that. I don't think they need that offensive defenseman back there. They already got Morgan Riley. I don't think they need an Erik Karlsson, Cale Makar. I mean, every team can use a guy like that. But I don't think that's what this team needs. And really, for the playoffs, because this team's going to make it to the playoffs, they just need 34, 16, 91, and 44 to show up. Not 88, because William Nylander always shows up in the playoffs. Those other guys are the ones that always seem to go disappearing. They need to show up, and that's how they need to win. It's just plain and simple. I would say after this year is the year you need to blow it up. I think this is... If they lose in the first round, especially this year, I say this is the year you need to just call it quits and change the lines. Marner's obviously not going to be the guy. Matthews probably would leave, so I would rather trade him away. I know it is stupid, but at the same time, Calgary showed that their core just didn't work. Toronto, obviously, this core does not win playoffs. It's just plain and simple. Now we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning. So those annual trade deadline moves where they just nab someone. Every single year they do it. Every year they bring in a guy and it's like, wow, that was a good move. And this year, I think they need that more than ever. This Tampa Bay team, I think, is the weakest one. Every single year, I feel like after that second cup win, I felt like Tampa Bay has always been so good at recuperating their team. And every single year, they would get rid of a couple of guys, bring some more guys in. But now they finally have started losing those top guys like Yanni Gourde and now Andre Palat and Ryan McDonough. I think this year this is a more important trade deadline year for them to bring in some of those guys. I don't know who they are this year. Last year was Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel. This year, I don't know what those names are going to be. But if they go out there and if they can bring in some of those young guys again that they always do, I don't know, because here's the thing. It's always guys that you don't think of. They always bring in guys where it's like, oh, Brandon Hagel, interesting. They're not like, oh, Patrick Kane, so they got to bring, I don't know who they are, but they need to bring those in more than ever. And, yeah, but they need to be good. Oh, yeah, the trades they bring in this year, they can't be like Barclay Goodrow. They need to actually be good bring-ins. Brandon Hagel is great, but they need to bring in it's not Timo Meier. This isn't a rental situation. These guys need to be brought in and kind of be kept on the team for next year, too. Because really, this team's, their bottom six is built around Corey Perry, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Patrick Maroon. It's not a very good scenario. So, anyways, moving on to the Washington Capitals. Really, it's a shame that this team is so plagued with injuries right now. I mean, take any other team. Let's just take the Hurricanes, and let's just say, like, for Backstrom, you injure. I mean, Aho's their number one guy, so whatever. You get the idea. This team is just so plagued with injuries, it's kind of hard to tell what they need to do, because they can't really go out there and bring in a bunch of people to try to make this team good, because then their actual players are going to come back, and so it's kind of hard to tell. I don't really know. But in the playoffs, I think what this team would need the most is Darcy Kemper to play like he did in Arizona. If Kemper can play like that with a team that actually can win games, that would be nuts. So that is something that they could really cross their fingers and hope for. And maybe a defenseman. I think, I don't know. Washington's a pretty well-built team. It's just they're just so plagued with injuries. It's kind of hard to tell what they need to do. Moving on to the Islanders. This team needs offense. And, like, bad. If you take a look at the current playoff teams and where, like, I mean, we are halfway through the season just about for some teams and not so much for others, but yeah. Right now, they are, like, I think only other team on this board that's below them in goal scoring is the Penguins. Islanders, they need goals. They need goal scoring, and they can bring in a guy like Tarasenko, maybe a guy like Meier, but I don't really think something about Meier on the Islanders just wouldn't seem right to me, but I think a Tarasenko could fit in. And maybe, who knows, maybe the Islanders, New York, Patrick Kane maybe. That could seem like a type of deal, but at the same time, I would see that happening. I don't see him going to the Rangers. I just don't think that they could pull it off. But Patrick Kane to the Islanders, that could maybe work. Him and Barzal. But still, at the same time, I don't really think that'd make a Stanley Cup winning team. They need a lot of offense. So, yeah. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They need rentals. I know every single year I feel like we say this could be your last big year. But last season, they've lost it in the first round in the last 3 years or something like that. This team is obviously, they haven't won anything in a little while. This could be your last big year. Who knows when these guys are going to fall off? Who knows when Sidney, when Malkin, when Letang are going to finally fall off a cliff? Who knows? I say for the last few years that they are going to be pretty good and contentious. I say go all in. Who cares if it puts your team in financial trouble or whatever the hell? I say for these last few years, go all in, go put all the chips in until these guys retire and try to go as far as you can. Give them this last few years of the last biggest hoorah you can. Bring in everyone. Bring in Meier, bring in Tarasenko, bring in O'Reilly. Have a crazy offense, lose in the conference final, restart next season. Do the same thing next year when Anze Kopitar and Mark Scheifele are on the trade block. Bring them in again every single year. And you know what? I had the same thing to say about the Buffalo Sabres. This team, go crazy. Everyone's all over you. Everyone's electric about you. Everyone's excited for you. How about go crazy? They actually have cap space. They actually have, according to Cap Friendly, and I guess I might not really understand how the cap works, but according to the number, they have $17 million in cap space. They need to go nuts. They need to go out and bring in Meier, bring in O'Reilly, bring in Kane. Kaner! Could you imagine? So I think the Buffalo Sabres should go just crazy. Go all in, make it into a playoff spot. They're 6 points, I think, behind the Penguins currently for a playoff. No, behind. Yeah, something like that. They're in the it's going to be a hard race, but they are in the race still regardless. They can make it still. I say go crazy, go all out, bring them in. They're rentals because they'll go off the books this off season. Bring them in, go crazy, and people love you. So just do it. So that is all I really have to say about this for what these playoff teams need and hopeful playoff teams. The contentious playoff teams, and that is all I have to say. So if you like this video, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. It's free, just click it. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it. If you like this video, please leave a like, not a dislike, but go down to the comment section below and tell me how stupid I am for thinking the way I do. I know I'm an idiot. Just tell me down below how stupid. Just do it. Just tell me how stupid I am. So until next time, I have been your happily dressed host, Owen. Too sweet. I hope you're having an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.